If you're a business owner or agency owner or in the space of cold email, I want to underline one of the methodologies you can really consider that will actually massively amplify your ability to get a return on investment with cold email. So if you're in a space where hiring a third-party agency either doesn't make sense or it's just simply not something that you want to do, then another effective way to make cold email campaigns work is, and this is the interesting thing, if you really think about it, one of the bigger challenges that we have when it comes to cold email, especially now with the advent of AI, ChatGPT and whatnot, is that we want to build effective lists. Because as a business owner or marketer or agency owner, you're not going to have any shortage of ideas as to the type of email campaigns that you could run. So as a simple example, why don't you head over, for example, to if you Google or if you YouTube link building course Deepak Shukla, you'll find a whole ton, 100 plus ultimately potential activities that you could run to build links. Now, we're here to talk about cold email, and probably you're using it to generate B2B leads. And what I want to underline is, first of all, the fundamental skill when it comes to building cold emails that work is probably the writing of the cold email sequence and then getting the targeting right. Now, the targeting is really effectively, in the end, a matter of scraping effective cold email. So with that in mind, I guess what I'm trying to effectively communicate is why not get a dedicated person from a developing economy, because it will be the developing region. So that would be India, Pakistan, the Philippines, Egypt, and thinking about the countries that I've just recruited from when it comes to email scraping. And there'll be many others, but why not get a person who's really effective at scraping emails? And that can be their sole responsibility, because then once you have that person, and what you'll often find is that person will typically, it's typically to find a person that can do that, that has the skill or has the desire and willingness to learn how to use a cold emailing platform. Okay. So there's other, of course, technical elements when you think about it to the setup of cold email that sometimes prevents business owners from thinking they can't do it themselves internally. But if you practically think about it, if you hire someone that's good at scraping emails from the web using the abundance of tools that are out there that probably you're using, what they probably can also do is do the technical setup. So that means there's domain purchase, there's a 301 redirect, there's something called SPF, DKIM, DMARC. Those types of skills typically tend to come in buckets. So if you hire that person, then it can be really just a consequence of, for example, voice noting, because this is the process that we currently follow, and I'll walk you through the process step by step. But voice noting, for example, ChatGPT, the exact sequence that you're trying to build, and then, of course, editing the actual text that it produces. So we're using this at the moment to do a whole variety of things. Let me give you a list of those things that we're doing at the moment. So number one, I have asked my team, and literally this will be the prompt that I'll give, for example, and this is if you've got, for example, employees, but there's many, many examples, but podcast outreach. I've gone to Manib, who's my head of internal lead generation. I said, Manib, I want to appear on any podcasts that talk about entrepreneurship, that talk about mindset, anything to do with entrepreneurship and mindset. Please scrape from YouTube as well as Spotify, as well as Apple iTunes, as many ultimately emails you can of podcast owners, and also scrape names of the guests that are on those shows, so I can build in some relevancy to an individual email that I send out. So if I sent an email out to Joe Rogan, not that I ever would because it would be nonsensical, but I can say, hey, Joe, really enjoying your podcast. Just caught the one recently with Andrew Uberman and really enjoyed it, etc., etc. So podcasts you can begin to do at scale. So that's bucket number one. That's something that we're actively doing right now. Something else that we're actively doing, and think about that, you can then do podcast outreach as to be a guest on other people's podcasts, or you can, of course, do it to be a host of your own podcast. So you can do it either side once you've got a person to scrape the emails. Bucket number two, something else that we're doing, is we are doing outreach, and now we'll go to the lead generation side. We're doing outreach for our catering business to office managers as well as HR managers, as well as marketing managers. So office managers for corporate catering events in offices, or for example, lunch drop-offs. We're doing it to marketing managers for brand activations and anything to involve event management. And we're also doing it to HR managers because we just think it's a generally potentially good punt. Similar principle, we scrape emails from London, where the headquarters of our catering business is based. I feed ChatGPT the actual email sequence that I want to build, and off we go. I'll give you a final example before I wrap this up. We're using this process to also generate case studies. If you're anything like me, you use a lot of software tools, right? So if we're talking about cold email as an example, then you might use Lemlist, Instantly, Sales Handy, Mailshake, and so on and so forth. There's no shortage of tools that are available. If you're getting, even if you're using something, if you've got any level of good result from it, why not then make a list of every single tool that you use? And the typical agency owner, the typical business owner, even the typical individual is probably using something in the region of 20 to 50 plus tools. Reach out to every single one of them, as we're doing currently at Pearl Lemon. So we've got, let's say, 80 people in our team, assuming the average person uses at least 10 tools each. 80 times 10 is 800 tools. We're reaching out to every single tool and saying, hey, Mailshake, it's the team from Pearl Lemon here. I just wanted to say that we've had a really, really good experience using your tool. And if you are ever of need of a case study, we'd be more, or a testimonial about the success we'd have, we'd be more than happy to provide it for you. And we're using that to get case studies on third-party websites. And actually, us having case studies as a lead generation agency on cold email platforms such as Lemlist, Sales Handy, Mailshake has helped us directly generate clients for our own business as well, because people will say, oh, I found you via a case study on the lead generation software that I was looking at. So the examples could go on, because hopefully I've got your creative juices flowing now. So if you hire someone from a developing economy, the cost is a couple of $100s a month. You can apply massive leverage to any cold email campaign that you run. And then it's just a case of how many ideas have you got and how quickly can this person start building campaigns for you?